Welcome back everybody to Official JPEG. This is Jessie and today I'm here to just play games. Goodness you guys, today is going to be a whirlwind, so please stick with me while I explain. A lot has happened and I'm here to share some disappointing news with you guys. I am 1000% certain that my 2-year-old has completely deleted my save file. When I record first and then do my audio second. And this is because, I gotta take care of my kids, give them, love and attention that they deserve. And I don't have a recording area in my house, so I just do it in our den, which is like the baby play space with all of their books and stuff. And so if I have to walk away, usually my desk is unattended and I'll have my games up. And the reason I know that my Altlas zoo file got deleted is because all of my animals went to the trade center. So at this time I tried to reload the game and the map was absolutely blank. It said restore, and so I pressed restore and it was a completely different map because I had previously had a sculpted map and the one that I found was just flat and boring. And instead of crying, which I did, I won't lie, I definitely broke down. I spent 3 hours trying to recover this file, going to the Steam cloud, trying to look up different save files. I found a couple of different zoo files and I kept opening them up and they were all for the Desert Botanical Zoo. And so bad news bears is we're restarting the Altlas Zoo, and instead of making it a bunch of short episodes, I figured episode 1 could be just building up the zoo with what I previously had. I know that you guys are probably going to be like, whoa, where did all these animals come from? And that is because I had pre-gamed up to episode 5 and I was going to start releasing the episodes every week to kind of slowly build up the zoo and kind of introduce you guys weekly. And it also gave me time, because I work full-time, to get that done for you. Let's talk about where we're starting now. So ultimately I was in love with this map, but I knew that to start Altlas Zoo off, I wanted to start fresh. And to do that, I wanted to make sure I had a little bit more area for the power grid. So I ended up just redoing the entire entryway. I wanted to move the entrance a little forward so I had more space to work with, and then ultimately that meant that I had to change the spawners. So a new design here, we're gonna move everything around, delete this building. It'll also give us a little bit extra cash. I think it came to like 700 or 500 or something like that. But I want to just completely play around with moving these. So my thought process here was making a bulky area that they could all walk in, but oh my goodness you guys, the pathing. I'm sure anybody who plays Planet Zoo knows what it's like to deal with the pathing system, and because none of this was on the same grid, it was so hard to deal with. I don't even have words. And I don't know why that one guest spawner was like, I'm gonna turn the same color as everything, and that's not what I wanted. Again, outlining my power structure, that way I kind of have an idea of where to build, what I'm gonna do with it, and this just gives me ultimately a good idea of the area I have. Now, when it came to the pathing, I decided to pretty much copy what I had previously done because I really liked it. I liked the idea of it just being like crazy, curvy, not making any sense, and I liked the area here to be all of the food stalls, all of the restroom, just right in the door. They could get to it easily, and it gave me a really good layout as far as where I wanted future habitats to go. But again, don't like those straight lines or 90-degree angles. I try my best to kind of make things kind of more natural, curvy, flowy, for lack of a better term. I just want things to be less straight edge. We're curvy here. We're curvy people. We like non-linear moves. Now, when it came to my employee buildings, I decided to do less is more, so I literally just did a trade center and a staff room to start because franchise mode, wanted to make all that money right away. I think I ended up hiring a zookeeper, a caretaker, and whoever was in the 2 vendors. Now, taking a peek at this stored animals is 27. You guys are gonna be like, where did all these animals come from? I had pre-recorded up to episode 5. I think I mentioned that previously, so sorry if I'm repeating, but I just want to point out that My first plan of this zoo is a species you guys probably aren't too familiar with my previous Atlas Zoo episodes, and that is the red panda. I loved where they were at. They were in the right temperament environment, and their habitat required less size. And so let's just jump right in and start building that. I know I wanted to do a completely enclosed space kind of with this curve, so I decided to use the stone blocks to set the base, and I think this not only kind of goes with the theme that I'm looking for, because I love the wood look. I love the wood, the concrete, I like the modern look, so this is kind of my play on a enclosed cage for our red panda enclosure. I'm trying something new, kind of a spun around copy and paste thing going on here, so I'm trying to just make that one piece that I can copy and paste and turn all the way around. And looking back, I wish I hadn't made the piece so big, as you'll see here, but maybe I just kept it without the black metal piece there, which actually is just painted wood, but I wish I had just done the front part and the cages here, because I ended up deleting a lot of the wood pieces on the end and the painted wood there in the future when I finalized, not finalized, but started finishing it off and adding in the things that I wanted to. I know that this is kind of confusing, like, as far as my construction methods, and I'll probably say it time after time again, I never really plan any of my habitats. It's not my favorite thing to do. I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of person. I don't really have that type A brain. I'm very crazy as a person. I have no real thought process, like, that works really well when it comes to like linear patterns. I was really bad at statistics, but semi okay with something like pre-calculus. And like sewing patterns, I can't use sewing patterns. My brain just doesn't work like that. Sometimes I just throw a piece of fabric on the floor and just try until it works. It's just how I am as a person. I never have plans and just run and make sure something works. Now with this, I kind of had an idea. We won't call it a plan, but it's an idea for a tower of sort to put as the hard shelter for the red pandas, but also will double as where we're gonna put the keeper's hut behind it. It'll kind of act as a hideaway for the keeper's hut and some of maybe the other buildings that I may ultimately put back here. But my plans kind of change, and we're just throwing things out there as we go. Like, I ended up putting a back wall to this entire habitat. And this wall is going to add not only a backdrop that I can put some decorative things on in the future, but also as the second story, which I am so excited to talk to you guys about. This took, in real life, an hour for me to come up with an idea to finish off this curve that I did, because I thought the curve was amazing, but it needed something on the back. And so I was like, hey, red pandas, they climb. Let's make a second story with a window so that way they can see them up there climbing on whatever structure I will throw up there, give them a good little window into their climbing. And I actually think it turned out really cool, you guys. But yeah, this is where everything got deleted because I didn't need it. But I will probably be adjusting this in the future. I think I might take that second story and in fact just move it down to create the indoor habitat as well, kind of some range structure, because I'm already putting a roof on it. I might as well drop it down, make it look more structurally sound, which is more realistic in my opinion, because right now it's just kind of, the physics just ain't lining up with this one. But I think it looks really nice. I'm really proud of this build, and I'm really proud of the rock stuff that I did on the inside, and the like the landscaping, I don't know, whatever it's called. I'm really happy with it. I did end up doing just a minor second story climbing for right now, but I will be adding to this later on. I'm probably gonna say it 100 times, you guys. You'll probably hear it at least 2 or 3 times per episode, but it's franchise mode. We can edit this later. Editing later is like the best part of Planet Zoo in my opinion. The fact that I can make some money, wait a little bit, and add to all of our animal enclosures is just a big bonus. But I do think that ultimately the cherry tree looks amazing first off in here, but it'll probably be moved so I can lower that second story to the first, make it a little bit more realistic. But take a peek at our red panda enclosure, you guys, from that height. I didn't put a roof on it yet because I was still playing with an idea if I was going to be closing that off or not. But look at all the people coming in the park, and that is because the first thing I did was label my tickets as free. So if you look at all the guests, they're like, oh my god, entry's free. Oh, no, it was not, ma'am. The minute I put money on that, it lowered the people coming in dramatically. But let's start planning our second enclosure, which I did end up choosing the aardvarks, and I do think that was my biggest regret so far because they're shy, and I forgot that. So they're super shy. They're not doing very good in this area because there's a lot of foot traffic. I think I might change this up in the future, maybe add a rock wall, something to give them a little bit more hideaway, or possibly just add to the enclosure size itself to double, triple it, maybe add in some foliage, just some better places for them to hide, because this is just not a good enclosure for them. Maybe some solid fences would help, some rock along the fences, but I chose this thinking that a lot of people would want to see them. And in my previous zoo, they did really good in this environment, but no, they did not. They said not today, honey, so I had to change things up later on, and I'll also be showing that video later of my plans for this. But I tried to make the enclosure itself a little bit make more sense as far as the landscaping, so I'm trying to cluster all of my plants so that they all make sense, for lack of a better term. But I did end up changing the entryway to this habitat to the side to give them a little bit of hideaway, and I did do the no-sided, one-way glass on that entryway, but it still just wasn't enough for them to feel safe, because they're sensitive creatures, and I totally respect that. I wouldn't want to be stared at all day either. I'm probably an aardvark at heart, honestly, at this point in my life. That little pop-out I did right there with our guest education, I do think is going to end up being our tour start point, so I am going to be adding to that later as well. But I've got to say, one of the things I'm super excited about is the idea I have here for our enrichment area, our guest enrichment area. So this is where I have, I think, Mexcelente and Gulpy Soda going on. But I will be putting a reptile house behind here. So that little entryway that you're seeing with the bark path right next to the aardvark will end up being the entrance to a giant indoor reptile house at some point. But I'm just so proud of what I did here with the little plaster floors, because I do feel like this made it look a little bit more stepped up as far as a build. And I know I keep using this brown and everybody's going to be like, why do you keep using the brown? It's just my favorite color. I have no real reason or direction around it. I do think that I'll have to add something more serious in the future as far as colors or ideas. And then I was trying to give a cute little pop-out design here and ended up using one of the flags here, and I thought they looked great. It didn't show through the other side, and I thought about putting shade with those, and ultimately was like, absolutely not. I couldn't make it work. That looked good, and so I got rid of that idea very quickly. But I did like the layout with the benches. I feel like 4 was a good number for just having the 2 food stands there, but I think maybe we'll expand this out a little bit to cover more of the area. So guys, for the shade, I ended up going logs, because if you don't follow my Desert Botanical page, I highly recommend you do, because you know that I freaking love the look of this. I think it's because the area I actually live in has a lot of Spanish style builds, so it's kind of my favorite thing to do. And please expect to see a lot more of it in the future, because again, it's my favorite thing. I love the wood beams. I love the look of them as shades, but here I am just kind of setting up my tour points, because I realized that to get education and to get more people in, you need to offer tours. It's something that I'm kind of new to, and I'm not the best with setting them up. But I did find that when they say that their points are not accessible, if you just press play and let it play for a little bit, then it'll suddenly be like, oh my god, it works. Here I am adjusting the prices and realizing that there's absolutely no range structure in my build. So I tried my best to be a little bit creative with how I was going to go about the shade structure in this, and I do think that the idea I have in mind is going to take a little bit as far as how I'm going to make it happen. I think I might have to put this in to sandbox mode to play around with that, but I'm finally putting the roof on because I realized the animals were probably wet, and my heart and my brain were hurting for them. I was like, oh my god, they're soaking wet. But I'm just making a couple of adjustments from this point onward, so I'll let you guys kind of enjoy the build a little bit. Alrighty, you guys, so this is going to be our African crested porcupine enclosure, and I had a lot of inspiration from Native American style adobe homes or cob homes, and I have a really cool Pinterest image that I will put up on the screen in a moment here if I can find it. If I can't, I'll try my best to get some other ideas popped up on the screen so you can at least see where my brain was going with this, but I think it's going to look so cool, and the back of that red panda enclosure really gave us a good backdrop to build off of. And I think once I put in some more details in here and I ultimately buy the Australia pack at some point, I think this is going to be stunning. I was really excited because I already had a keeper hut right here, so I was gonna build off of that and really make this enclosure to the best it could be. I loved the curve, so I decided to kind of build an elevated kind of ramp there, and I planned to put some stonework. So unfortunately a lot of the stonework was done at night, but I had to finagle this fence. Alright, so sorry you guys, I had to edit out the audio there for a second because my son decided to move his table and it was really loud, but I decided just to get rid of the idea of putting in the gate at that moment because I just had to move on. I couldn't get it to work, but I didn't want to give up on this habitat yet, so when things get hard I just move on and I will go back later. It's just how it works for me, but here at this point we're going to work on the rock layout. So the rocks, and my favorite thing is from, I think, what is it, Chaotic Panda or Creative Panda? I will have to at them. She says something really funny in her videos, and it's like, if you think you placed enough rocks, place more. And I'm trying to do that because they don't count as foliage, so it's not like they'll be like overcrowded by them, and they really do add a lot to an enclosure. I may add some more rock work later, and I do think I end up adding rock work along the major fence there, but one thing that is unfortunately coming up is a bunch of protesters that you'll see at the bottom left of the screen in 2 seconds here, and that is when I realized how shy my aardvarks were. They hated this enclosure. They felt like they were constantly trying to hide and run. They were getting really stressed, and so I moved the entrance, and what I did here is I just moved it to the left of the screen right here to try to see if that could provide them some hiding spaces, and I will probably go back. Maybe I'll even feature it in the next episode, or maybe at the end of this one. I still haven't decided if I'm going to make this video longer or not, just because there's a lot of things I want to change looking back at this. But I think one of the things I'll change is lengthening this habitat. I know I mentioned it before, making it a little bigger and adding some rock work there. But back to our porcupine habitat. I wanted to add the same logs again. I warned you guys earlier, I love using these things, and I think it really adds some good dimension, adds a good look that you saw in my inspo photos earlier. I may change these to the circular ones at some point, but for right now the flat ones will do. But I was struggling to come up with a window. These are actually the doors. The door pieces were the perfect size that I wanted, and now looking back I may just double that, maybe turn them around and double them in size to make them look a little bigger, just to kind of give a little bit more perspective. But the African doors worked really good. I didn't mind them, and I decided to kind of keep it the same, and I'll be doing that to the habitat gate as well. But they look like windows and I liked them. I do think I ended up going with the smaller ones overall, just to kind of keep things cohesive, and then just working on that detailing. So I'll let you guys kind of enjoy some of the detail work here in just a moment. My main plan with the pathing is to add another eating area over here, kind of maybe a restaurant or something to make people want to come to this side of the zoo. And so I'm adding a lot of pathing over here, and it seems like it's going nowhere, but my plan is to kind of make this an area for people to kind of be eating and look at the porcupines and maybe add something else bigger over here. And looking at these little path markers or these pre-made fences, I'm going to change this later. Looking back, I'm just not a big fan of it. I might do some custom logs or custom stonework here, but I do like the idea of keeping them away from the porcupines, because in real life, you're not going to want to be putting your hands in a porcupine enclosure. Now, fun fact, porcupines actually can't eject their quills, but they can get stuck in somebody. So if you touch them, you know, they would get stuck in your hand, but they can't throw them at you. So that's a little fallacy that I think a lot of people are afraid of, especially looking at like dogs who get quilled in the face or things of that sort. But no, dogs usually get quills because they're attacking a porcupine, and the porcupine knows that its quills hurt, and they end up facing their tails towards them, and that's how they get them. And that's why they're most commonly in the mouth, the nose area, and the paws of a dog. They're not common to just like throw them at you. So, fun fact, they don't do that. And then those bushes that I just placed actually ended up being removed later, because one of the comments from the guest was, there's a lot of plants in there. And I realized it's because they couldn't see over the plants, maybe? I don't really know, but that was my thought there, is maybe they're just mad about that. But we're getting to the end of the decor for the porcupine habitat, so let me know how you guys are feeling about that. It is one of my favorites so far. I just think that this habitat was more put together than others, and I do think this had to do strongly with the fact that I had a really solid plan going in with what I wanted it to look at, you guys. Look like. Look like. And I kind of struggled a little bit with making it look most ideal. I do think I'll go in and put some rock work into the actual building, get rid of those tarps, but overall I'm really happy with how it blends in with the zoo. And I did go in and I added this kind of area here to set up for the next eating and drinking area that I will be showing you guys in a minute. But let's get into the big edits that I did, starting with editing this wall right here. I wanted to put an entrance into the park so that when they walked in, they saw a big sign to show them exactly where they were. And I decided to take all this rock work here on the porcupine habitat and turn it into a really good focus point, or a focal point, apologies, for the sign. So what I did, again, I love the wood. I know I keep saying it. I just took the slats that I used over the eating area, the sitting area for the drinks and food, and I decided to use the in-game versions of the alphabet. I do want to try to take a peek at the custom ones that are on the, what is it called? The people custom make and upload on their own. I want to take a peek at some of those because I've heard they're beautiful. But I ultimately decided on putting a frog there. Don't know why, just kind of like the frog. I tried the elephant and the giraffe and the tree, and I didn't think it was quite the vibe I was looking for, but I sided with the frog, and I decided to put a water feature here. I thought it would look cute and draw in some visitors. I may edit this later, but I still want it to be like a waterfall, but I may redo the rock work here and make it a little taller. I really want it to be a focal point, and it may take up some of the porcupine habitat in the future, but again, franchise mode, we'll edit that later. For right now, I just wanted something. It took a little bit of moving these around. I'm not very good at rock work yet, and I'm not necessarily happy with how it looks. I think I will change some of the way the water moves later, but for now I thought it was good, and I liked that this light worked from the ground. And then I went ahead, and I think you guys already saw this in my tour, but I wanted to add it in here that this was part of like the final work that I did on the feature points for everything. Okay guys, so let's take a look at this aardvark habitat. As you can see, the walls were a little boring, they were a little too tall. I wasn't a big fan of the speaker poking out. And overall, the aardvarks multiple times were so stressed that I just had to remove them every time an inspector came because they were just so upset with everything. So let's get down into the nit and gritty. I changed this a lot. So enjoy the build, you guys. Give me some feedback. Tell me how you like what I'm going to do. Tell me if you would make any changes. Any recommendations, throw them down. Maybe we'll throw something in here. I am thinking about putting one of those stones where you can put subscriber names on it, but I gotta figure out how to do that. But if you guys want to kind of join my little zoo following, let me know, comment below if you think that would be something cool to see and if you want to be on it. But alrighty, you guys, enjoy the build.
So it was this point when I realized that I could make this habitat gigantic. And maybe it's a little overkill for the aardvark, but I thought it would be really nice to have a viewing area in the back of the enclosure as well, with that middle window being a really good place to have our education point. So I don't ever plan any of these habitats, and it just, as I was going, I thought it would be a good build to add. Adding that area also gave me a good chance to kind of explore some options with pathing that I could introduce a further side to this park this direction. I'm getting to that point already in this zoo where I'm going to need to add some more power generators, maybe some wind turbines. I'm not quite sure which direction I'll go with that. I know wind turbines would be the correct option just to make sure that we're more eco-friendly in this zoo, just because I feel like that's just the right thing to do when you have a zoo. You want to make sure that you're respecting the environment. So adding wind turbines would give us a good idea or a good chance to kind of show that we care. So that would be something to add, but it would make a smaller area, which ultimately isn't a horrible idea for conservation and things of that sort. Smaller little keeper hut over there, maybe an employee building, but let me know what you guys think. But I love these custom fences I did. I really tried to respect the African vibe because they are an African continent animal, and so I thought this would also be a good opportunity for me to kind of shine some of those African items that are in Planet Zoo already. And I went ahead and added this path barrier. The path barriers did help kind of keep our people out of the habitats. We don't want them reaching in and trying to pet the aardvarks, who are incredibly shy. I just feel like it would just ruin the experience. But as I lined this habitat, I did overline it too much. So you'll see that I included a lot of the plant life. So as the aardvarks came in, which I was super excited about their first entrance in, they were so unhappy with the amount of plants. And so I tried to adjust the barrier a little bit, give them less space in the enclosure, because again, it was super overkill. There was way too much space, but I was happy with it. And instead of deleting the plants, I did just move them, because you will lose money if you delete plants after you place them. But I just moved the shrubs out of the way to the other side of the path, and they were a-okay with that. And then I just made sure all of our education boards were up to date. But here was my biggest adventure as a creator. I had to take these large columns of rock and try to make some decor. But in a second here, I'm going to show you one of our pop-ups that made me realize that our aardvarks were escaping their enclosure. And so I had to go in and kind of change things up a little bit with the pathing system, or the custom fences. And so I decided to add in a custom gate. Just to give a sense of realism to it. I may go in and change this later on. I think my biggest struggle with this was making sure that I had a handle to it so it looked like it could be used by our zookeepers. So I ended up just using one of the actual handles. But I went right back to decorating our area after this. I had a lot of fun decorating this. I do think it looks okay. I think I may change it maybe a little later on, but for now it's giving the design that I want. So here's our finished area of the park that I was kind of working on. I do like the shade structure. I added in a little glass that you can see to make sure that it was also a rain barrier. But I just think it looks so cute, looks really put together, same colors and everything. So for here, I'm just going through and adding in a little bit more to our red panda habitat to make sure that they still get that designated amount of climbing. And this ended up being a mistake, and you will see later in the video why, but I do think it turned out okay. They ended up climbing these trees so much, but sometimes they'll pick one that's in the middle and they'll clip through in the middle. It's kind of funny, but go ahead and enjoy the edits that I'm doing to the red panda enclosure, and tune in to see the fun stuff that happens because of this. Okay, you guys, so I added that little house up there, but let me show you the funniest part. Now, I tried to highlight this particular pet to show you what was going on. And so he would climb up and then he would climb down this pole. And in the middle of that, like, what is that? That is such a little scam of an escape route. And so I just was like, nope, we're not even gonna let that happen anymore. So I deleted the climbing structure here. And it didn't bother me in the end. I still feel like they had the climbing requirements that they needed, which again, I gave them way too much. So they were okay to have this little part deleted. And it just ensured that nobody could escape in the future. But I thought it was kind of funny and I wanted to include that little janky escape route. But let's jump into our reptile house. I was trying to include a big reptile house behind the eating area to introduce this side of the park to the guests. So watch me run around and try my best, but I ended up not really liking it. But I'm trying. So I tried to make a circle, and this is like the hardest part for me as a builder, and I'm still trying my best to learn how to group these so that I can turn them. And it took multiple tries, and I mean like 3 or 4 off camera. I do think I'm gonna move this zoo into sandbox mode to kind of get a better idea what I'm doing before I show you guys on camera, because up until this point I've just been kind of raw dogging it and just trying my best. But as I moved them, I found that there was a crack in the middle, and so I knew I was gonna have to add something on the sides to make it work. And guess what? I went with more wood beams. Yay! Me and my wood beams be like besties. I really feel like I'm highlighting her as an individual. So I just ended up putting them on opposite sides. This is because I find when you turn it, it'll be able to smack in. And then I wish I had done all these adjustments before putting it on that rotation, but it didn't bother me too much to go in and change it. And I feel like it still gave the vibes that I wanted, but it just looked really Romanesque for the zoo, and I do feel like it wasn't what I wanted. And then the lower walls behind the enclosures. So I was choosing the enclosures to be in that back area, and that is because I wanted to make custom glass and then like those fake enclosures on the side to make them look larger. Now, you guys, I debated even adding this build because in our next episode, the first thing I do is get rid of this. So little pop up for you guys, you know, a little cheat for next week's episode of Atlas Zoo. But enjoy the walkthrough of what we have so far. Alrighty, you guys, so take a peek at Atlas Wildlife Park Redo, episode 1. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see a frog house, because ultimately I think it would be super fun to have one. Now, I can't wait to get to episode 2, because I've already got some pre-recorded stuff for you guys, so in the comments below, let me know what you want to see, what animal you think should go next. But my last build of the day is going to be some human enrichment, and as always, you guys, thank you so much if you made it this far. I'm super excited to at least have a small following, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and as always, Toodles, love you guys, and you are all important.